All right, guys. Remember back in chapter 5, if we had a plus or minus b squared, it turned into a squared plus or minus the 2 times a times b plus b squared. Or if we had a plus b times a minus b, it turned into a squared minus b squared. So within factoring, we're going to see this a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, and we're going to see this a squared minus b squared. And so we're going to try to use these two rules, okay, today with today's homework assignment. So for example, if I look at this problem, the first thing that there's a couple things that would indicate that I would use one of those two rules on the previous slide, okay? This right here is a perfect square, okay? And this last guy here is a perfect square. What is a? If this is a squared, a would then be x. And if this is b squared, what is b? Well, b would be 7. And for us to be able to use that rule, we need 2 times a times b. And that is 2 times x times 7. 2 times 7 is 14, so that gives me 14x, which is what I have right here. So therefore, I can use this and go, well, it's a plus b squared. So in reality, it's actually x plus 7 squared. Okay, you can enter x plus 7 squared like this into a Math Excel, or you can write it as x plus 7 times x plus 7. It does not matter. You get to choose. I personally go with this form because I want to type less, so I'm going to use this form because it's quicker. Okay, let's look at another example. Here we have, is this a perfect square? Well, it is. What times what makes me 16x squared? So that would be a is equal to 4x, because 4x times 4x gives me 16x squared. And this is also a perfect square, so that would be my b. What times what equals 9? And that is 3. So now I'm going to check 2ab, and that's equal to 2 times 4x times 3, which gives me 24x, which is exactly what I want. So then I can come in and go, well, it's a minus b squared. Replace the a with 4x minus 3 and square it. All right. What about this? Okay, in the last section, I reminded you guys that you need to be looking at factoring out the greatest common denominator. Is it in descending order from highest degree to lowest degree? And then can you factor out the greatest common factor? So before I even try to factor this, well, to see if it's a perfect square, I'm going to pull out my greatest common factor. So, which would be 3. Give me minus 9x plus 9. Oops. This is not minus 9. That should be a 6. Sorry, guys. All right. Now I can see this number here is a perfect square, and this number here is perfect square. So that would make my a x, and my b, what times what is 9, and that would be 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so now let me check. Is 2ab equal to 2 times x times 3, which gives me 6x. This 6x is the same as this. So we're good. I can use the a minus b squared. So when I plug in x minus 3 squared, and if I plug that into Math Excel, it's going to tell me I'm wrong, because what did I do? I factored out the greatest common factor, so I need to keep that 3 with it, okay? So that would make it your final solution. Okay, here we go. That's a perfect square. So A is equal to x. 1, don't forget, 1 is always a perfect square. So, oops, I don't want x. B is equal to 1 because 1 times 1 is 1. All right, so now let's check 2 times A times B. Well, that gives me 2 times x times 1, which gives me 2x. 2x is not 4x. So I've got a little bit of a problem. So this is not what we would call a perfect square. So let's try the potting game. Well, let's have x. I need to make a plus plus or a minus minus, and they both need to be plus plus. What makes 1? Well, 1 and 1. Unfortunately, which would have been the same here, but let's just test the insides, which gives me 1x, and the outsides gives me 1x, which gives me 2x's. I have no other combinations, and that 2x is not my 4x, and I still don't have any other combinations to try, so therefore this problem is prime. All right. What about this? You're going to get something that looks kind of ugly like this. Well, don't panic. Look, 36x squared is a perfect square. What times what equals 36x squared? Well, what times what makes 36? That's 6. What times what makes x squared? X. So A is x squared. 25. Y squared is another perfect squared because what times what makes 25? 5. What times what makes y squared? Y. So let's test this. 2ab. And is that is equal to 2 times 6x times 5y. And is that equal to? Well, 2 times 6 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60 xy. So my 60 matches up with my 60 here. So therefore, I can use a minus b squared. So therefore, I will have 6x minus 5y and square it. Okay. Now we're going to go use this rule back here. Okay. Note that this is a perfect square and this is a perfect square, and I have nothing in between. So let's go look here. Okay. Is x squared perfect squared? Yes. What times what is x squared? X. What about 121? You may not know it, but it is a perfect squared. And in it is 11 times 11. Okay. The other sign you have here is that minus sign. If this is not a minus sign, it does not factor. Okay. So you would have x minus 11 times x plus 11. And FOIL it out to check it out. So that would give you x squared times plus 11x minus inside negative 11 times x, which is 11x. Oops. Minus 121. Okay, so those would cancel, just leaving you x squared minus 21. So this would be your answer. Okay, oop, x squared is perfect squared. So A is equal to x. B, 100. 100. What times what is 100? 10. Okay. And the third thing I have to check, is this a minus sign? No minus. Therefore, it does not factor. Making this problem, oops, well, I can't spell factor. Prime. Okay, let's see if we can finish this one really quick. Okay, here, we will finish this one on the next video.